The Djed Pillar is an enduring symbol of ancient Egyptian civilization. Dating back to the very first dynasties of Egypt, the prevalence of Djed pillars within the great temples and monuments attests to its importance as both a structural and spiritual symbol. The Djed symbolizes stability. It is a timeless emblem depicted on the pillars and columns of Egyptian temples, connecting the physical and spiritual realms with its strength and support. From the towering structures of terrestrial temples to the intricate design and powerful potential of the human body, the Djed Pillar stands as a symbol of fortitude, perseverance, and longevity, representing the skill of the ancient architects and the resilience of humanity, but also the true capabilities of the human body and the strength of the spinal column with its magical nervous system within. Many ancient Egyptian burials have been found to contain amulets of the Djed Pillar. In most occasions, the amulets were placed at the back of the deceased individual, next to the spinal column, thus indicating this connection between the spine and the Djed. There are also many examples of sarcophagi decorated with the Djed Pillar along the spine. We can see here a Djed Pillar standing at the rear of the casket of Nebnecheru, a priest of Amun at Karnak Temple from the 21st dynasty, circa 1100 BC. At the pinnacle of the Djed sits an Ankh, the symbol for life. It sits at the back of the head, and in the anatomical allegory, it represents the skull and the crossing of the sacred energies into the head center. The ancient Egyptians believed that the creative reproductive fluids were formed in the spinal column of an individual, and this hints at their knowledge and mastery of the creative forces, and also the electrifying circulation and utilization of these divine energies within the body. This idea leads us to the concept of fertility, regeneration, and the creative powers of the gods and nature in Egyptian society. The raising of the Djed Pillar was a great celebration in the Egyptian calendar. Welcoming the start of the new agricultural year, the raising of the Djed marked the beginning of a time of plenty and celebrated the fertility and abundance of the land of Egypt. Much like its connection to the spinal column, we can see in the ritual of the raising of the Djed Pillar its deep association with fertility, stability, and regeneration. Only in this instance, it is the regeneration of the land, rather than the body. The idea of stability and regeneration can be taken still further when looked at from the cosmological standpoint. The concepts of durability, permanence, longevity, and immutability all apply to the universal metaphor, and the cycles and movements of the heavens only support the idea of renewal and regeneration on the grand scale. The Djed Pillar serves as a symbol for the Egyptian gods Ptah and Osiris. In certain instances, the Djed hieroglyph represented both stability and Osiris himself. The ritual of raising the Djed Pillar was associated with Osiris's resurrection, and his rebirth was intimately linked to the land's fertility. Ptah was the great creator deity and the god of craftsmen and architects, whilst Osiris, who took Ptah's place in some later teachings, was more closely related to the underworld and resurrection, or regeneration perhaps. The legend of Osiris tells of a betrayal by his brother Set and his subsequent murder by trickery and deception. In some accounts, Osiris is trapped in a casket and sent down the Nile River, where he becomes entombed within the trunk of a great tree. In this myth, Osiris is then made into a central pillar at the palace of a Phoenician king and is later retrieved and resurrected or raised by his sister and consort Isis. The magical tree trunk later becomes known as the Pillar of Djed, but also as the Spine of Osiris. This legend is thought to be the origin of the raising of the Djed Pillar ceremony. In the physiological understanding, the Djed may be likened to the human spinal column and the tree to the human nervous system. Akin to the tree of life from biblical teachings and the great world tree Yggdrasil from Norse lore, the Djed Pillar is a symbol of the life force and the connecting and stabilizing powers between worlds, the heavenly, earthly, and human. The legend further narrates that while Isis gathers herbs to assist in Osiris's revival, Seth dismembers the god of resurrection, scattering his remains across Egypt. Isis tirelessly seeks out the fragments, recovering all but the deity's generative organ. Some versions of the tale recount the substitution of the missing member with one made of gold. It is also worth considering that Set is akin to the great serpent, or the dragon, and the dragon is an ancient emblem of the heightened nervous system, a difficult and dangerous opponent to be wrestled, controlled, and mastered. Once again, the relation to the golden phallus of Osiris may be seen as an indication of the importance that the ancient Egyptian adepts placed on the creative energy, the life force, and its central role in the resurrection and regeneration of both the human body and the land of Egypt, both of which have long been connected by metaphor and allegory. The Djed Pillar symbolizes stability and longevity. It represents support and strength, not only in the heavens and in the temples of ancient Egypt, but also in the temple of man. It is the central pillar and the world tree, the conduit of the creative force and the very backbone of the human experience. The Djed Pillar is often depicted alongside the Ankh and the Waz scepter. These symbols of stability, power, and life, when viewed from the anatomical and energetic perspective, represent the wisdom of the spinal column, the knowledge of the nervous system, its mastery, and the attainment, ultimately, of our true human potential.